Um, Look, I thought a really good first day of practice. Certainly we're not going to jump to any conclusions right now, but I thought there were some good things I saw. I thought good competition between the offense and defense. And so for first day of OTA practice, I was pleased. But obviously we'll get in and watch the tape, and I'm sure there's a ton of corrections that we got to make.
Dennis, are any of the absences problematic? Are you okay with the guys who aren't here?
Well, look, I mean, I'd always love for 100% participation. I'm aware of why everybody that's not here is not here. Some of them personal reasons, some of them personal choice, whatever the case may be. I think really our focus really has got to be on the guys that are here, and let's work to get the guys that are here. Let's work to get those guys better. When guys aren't here, when they get here, we're going to welcome them with open arms, and we're going to go about getting ourselves ready for the 2024 season. And I think that's really all we can do.
Dennis, the decision to go with Trevor Penning, running with the ones at right tackle, wouldn't win that decision.
Yeah, look, I think you're going to see a few things throughout the course of training camp where we're going to, maybe try some different things. I think that's kind of the direction that we're looking at right now, and really working Taliesin over on the left side, and giving Trevor an opportunity to work on the right side. We're still waiting to see, where Ryan Ramczyk is when we get, probably to training camp. It'll be the first time that we would even potentially see him. So I think that's kind of the thought process.
It's almost a clean slate with Trevor. You got a new line coach.
Yeah,
you got a new offense coordinator.
I think one of the reasons why you look at potentially putting him over on the right side is exactly that. It's a totally clean slate. It's a different position. It's a different coaching staff. It's a different scheme, and it's really hey, we're starting over here. We're starting new, and so I'm excited about it. I think. I think it could be something good for him. And look, we haven't set anything in stone. We're going to evaluate how everything goes. And ultimately, our job is to get the best 5 out there come opening day. And we'll go through that full process to figure that out.
So you think it's more permanent with Talaga on the left side?
Well, look,
last week you said it was just trying it out.
Well, I think we liked some of the things that we saw. I think we want to evaluate it a little bit more. I wouldn't say anything's permanent. But I think we like that direction, and then we'll see how it goes.
Do you think what Taysom Hill was doing, that he could kind of flourish in that role H-back?
I think Taysom Hill can flourish in any role he embraces. I think there's a lot of things that he can do. And so, look, I think there's going to be a learning process that goes along with this. But there's a lot of different things that he can do. And I wouldn't say a lot of it is totally different than some of the things that he's done in the past for us. So, yeah, I think with a new staff in here and a new scheme, we're going to look at, like we were talking about with the offensive line, we're going to look at, okay, what can Taysom do, and where can we utilize him in this scheme where he can help us win football games.
Because of follow-up, will he take any reps at quarterback?
I wouldn't think we'd see a lot of him taking reps at quarterback during this time frame. We've got 2 young guys that we need every single rep that they can get, along with a starting quarterback who's, in a new system. So I wouldn't think that we'd see a lot of that. And we'll just evaluate how the quarterback position is, throughout this, time frame, and then as we get into training camp.
Following up on that, because of where Clint came from, I'm sure there'll be comparisons to Juszczyk. Was that kind of something you all talked about, of utilizing?
I think there's some things that Kyle Juszczyk does that we feel like, Taysom can do and do well. I wouldn't say that we would say that role's entirely the same. I'd say there's probably a few things outside of that realm that we feel like Taysom can do to help us.
Dennis, how would you say you've seen from Clint Kubiak so far? Like, how has he impressed you?
Look, I think the attention to detail and holding guys accountable to those details. I think that's something that he's really brought to the table for our group. And I think it's been good, and I think our players and I think our coaches are embracing that.
What were your thoughts on Jake's day? It seemed like he looked really comfortable out there.
Yeah, look, I thought he had a good day. I mean, he hit a nice basic on the backside. You know, the thing that we're seeing with our guys is and stressing with our guys is getting through your progressions, and being able to listen to your feet, know where you got to go within the progression. That was what I thought, our guys did really well today.
Nobody wins, I guess, a job like on the first day of OTAs, but when you see a guy like that or somebody coming in, they look sharp and good. How encouraging is that?
I think anytime they look good, it's encouraging, right? I mean, and yet, like I've opened up with, we're not crowning anybody as we sit here in the first day of OTAs. It's day one of a long evaluation process. And so here's the thing, the more of those positive days that you could put together, the more encouraging it is. And so we just got to make sure we're not riding the roller coaster and the up and downs. Consistency is really what we're looking for.
Dennis,
how
important is that y'all can find a nickel corner that you're confident in and they're confident in their ability to play on the inside? Because Voluntary Taylor is very confident on the outside, Paulson and Debo, Lattimore, but to find that one guy, whether it's Kool-Aid or whoever it might be, to find that nickel corner y'all can come.
Yeah, look, obviously it's vitally important. I look at the nickel corner as a starter. We probably play 70% of our snaps are in some sort of sub defense. And so I look at that guy as a starter. I would say there was a lot of encouraging things with Voluntary Taylor in there last year, and yet there were some things that, weren't as good as they needed to be. And so let's don't forget that Voluntary Taylor is a second-year player and it's his first year to play inside in the slot, so like there's some learning that goes along with that. I think he'll be much better and much further along. He's getting that work now in the spring as opposed to the limited work that he got in training camp last year. So I think we're further along in terms of the coaching staff of where we feel like we can fill the roster out in those particular spots.
Hey Dennis, you mentioned yesterday that you talked to Lattimore. Based on that conversation, do you expect to see him before minicamp?
No, I wouldn't. And I wouldn't say that that's been uncommon since probably about 2020. And so I wouldn't expect that. I know he's working hard. I know he's getting himself in the best shape that he can get into. And so, like I said earlier, when he's back, we'll embrace him with open arms, and we'll start working on getting him better for next year.
You said it was a positive conversation. Was there anything that needed to be cleared up or talked about, or you just feel like you needed to?
No, look, I just thought it was something that we needed to communicate. There's been a lot of talk outside of our building about trades and things of that nature. And so I just felt like it was probably time that he and I had a conversation. Like I said, it was a positive conversation, and we're looking forward to getting him out here when he's here and working with him.
Going back to the offense, you talked about how the terminology is less with this new style of Kubiak. Have you seen any initial faster pace from day one?
Yeah, I would say that we're in and out of the huddle a little faster than we've been. I certainly don't think there's as many rehuddles as maybe we've had early on in camp in the past, but yeah, I think early on the signs have been positive, but again, it's day one, so it's really kind of hard to make too much of an assessment.
On the Marshall Lattimore, just so that it's out there and so that people aren't like turning it into something else, is your expectation right now that he's on the roster in 2024?
Yeah.
Dennis, how would you describe where you are at left guard and where maybe Nick Saldiveri is right now?
Well, look, I'd say that's a position that I'd say we have two positions on our offensive line that we feel like we've got guys that are healthy and they're kind of entrenched in those positions. I think Cesar Ruiz, we feel good about where he's at, and yet he still has to improve. I think Eric McCoy probably had his best season last year. Those are two positions that I feel like, we feel pretty confident of exactly where we're at in those positions. The other three positions, we're not sure yet. Whether it's young players, whether it's due to Ramchek's injury, some guys that we signed in free agency that aren't out here yet. So I'd say all of those other three positions, we're we're going to work extremely hard throughout, OTAs and into training camp to figure out who's going to be in those spots. I like what I've seen out of Nick Saldiveri. I like what he's done in the offseason to his body. I think he's worked extremely hard. And so it's really going to be about getting him out here when he's fully capable of getting all the reps and seeing what he really can do.
And what does it say about guys like DeMario and Tyron that don't have to be here, but they are here?
Well, I think it says a lot about our football team. I think, we got a lot of guys that take on that leadership role, and it's important to them. And so having guys, look, I think the more guys you can have in your off-season program, the more you get guys working together, I think that just helps your football team. And so I think it speaks to, some of the leadership qualities that we have with some of our guys.
Do you feel like that message? Do you feel like that message is kind of, at the end of the last season, you stress commitment? Like, does that show on a day like today?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Yeah.
How was Derek embraced the new system?
Yeah, I think he's embraced it. I think he's jumped right into the deep end of the pool with it. He's embraced everything that they're asking him to do. He's been really attentive in meetings. He's taking control of the offense, both on the field, in the classroom, all those things. And look, that's a difficult proposition for any quarterback, and I think in particular a guy that's kind of been in the league for a long time, and getting to a new system I think can be a challenge, and for him to embrace the change I think is positive.
Dennis, Isaiah Fox, what do you want to see jump out?
Yeah, look, I think this, and I've talked about Isaiah before. I think the biggest thing for him is to cut it loose. Just go cut it loose and go play. He's going to make some mistakes, but just quit trying to be right all the time and just go play the game of football. And then once you do that, then we can help you make some better decisions as you're out there on the field. But until he cuts it loose, it can be tough coaching. So I just want to see him cut it loose. I thought there was a couple plays where I felt like he did that today.
To clarify with Taysom and the new offense, is it possible that design quarterback runs would be de-emphasized in any way, or
no?
Okay. And that's good. Yeah. And then the other thing is, just
I don't think we're going to run it every snap, but right. Yeah, we're going to utilize him in that role. Absolutely.
Okay. And
so start game planning.
Yeah. And then and I know you don't want to talk about absences, but I'll make it brief. Just with a new offensive coordinator whose scheme kind of emphasizes the run game, like a star running back could open himself up to criticism or dissatisfaction from the fan base by not showing up. So can you just put your perspective on that?
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously, it can present some challenges. I'd say Alvin's kind of been in that same boat where he's been able to train and get himself ready on his own and be prepared and be ready to go when it's time to go. And so I think for me as the coach, I got to trust that that's what he's doing. Look, every year players go through different phases in their life, and then they begin to get other things that pull at them from one way or the other. Some may be positive, some may not be positive. Obviously Alvin's got a family now, right? So that pulls at him in terms of time commitments and things like that. So I think, it's not the only family we all have is the family here on Airline Drive, and yet that is an important part of all of our lives. So I think we have to be understanding of that, and yet I do think it's important to have our guys here.
Now, Dennis, looking at the running back position, how important it is for that second guy, because we're familiar with Alvin, to really step up, whether it's Kendry Miller, Jamal Williams, Jordan Mims, who looks like nice vision out there. So how important it is to have that 1-2 punch? Yeah,
look, I think it's extremely important. The running back position is a tough position in our league to play. There's a lot of toll on your body as you play that position, and so you really need to be able to, have multiple weapons that you can use in that role to, take some of the touches, handle some of the protection, handle some of the routes. and take some of the punishment off the body.
Dean, what do you feel that Keith Williams has added to the practice field?
Well, look, I think he's been outstanding. I think he's really was exactly what we were looking for in that role. I think he's just got a demeanor about him and a way of teaching that relates to the player in a positive way. And look, I think he'll bring more to our football team, not just in the receiver room, but in a lot of other areas too. All right. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.